Hello, all orange folk, PMC Orange League contestants and watchers and mothers and fathers, and you know what? I am Jay Specs, and we have yet another interview. A little side note before I introduce the horse that is here with me. I want to give a shout out to my boy Carney. My life got a little bit busy, so he stepped in and did a few of those interviews for me. And yeah, he's a nice little hobo horse. I appreciate you for that. But we have a good friend of mine here with me, and I say his name wrong all the time too. Introduce yourself, my friend, and tell everyone what team you'll be representing this season.
Alright, what's going on, everyone? It's Togevoir here, and I'm going to be representing the Portland Timbers in the Orange League.
Alright, so fun fact, I don't say his name wrong, but I say one of the Pokemon that made his name wrong. I say Togekiss for some stranger. It rolls off the tongue easier for me, okay? I'm sorry. You can't tell me that's not more smooth than Toge. You can't.
I mean, it's definitely more smooth.
It's smooth, it's crisp. And Verd hates me for it, but it's okay. He's
Australian. He says all kinds of things wrong.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
who says Z moves?
he used to. I wouldn't say trigger me, but he would always like throw me off when he would call the championship match the grand final. I'm like, Verd, what are you talking about, friend? It's just a championship. But enough about that Aussie jabroni. We're gonna hop right into this interview. So Chris, what are your thoughts on League format?
On League format, I'm a big fan. It's honestly what's kept me playing Pokemon. Obviously, played competitive before League format, but I always like playing it. It doesn't really get old for me unless I play a bunch of leagues at the same time, because you always are allowed to keep innovating and trying different kinds of combinations of Pokemon, and the preparation style makes it so it's fresh each league and each team you have, so it doesn't really get old in the same way that standard play does. So that's why I like it so much.
I agree wholeheartedly. He's 100% right about the whole too many leagues. If I do two, now it's like even if I do two leagues at the same time, it's not that I get burnt out, but I'll gravitate towards one team more than I do the other. I'm like, ooh, this team is pretty. I want to use this team. I'm tired of using this team. And then it messes up my focus, and then I start playing bad. And I haven't played a Let's Play in almost a year. I haven't watched a Let's Play in like 6 months. So that should show you guys how I feel about League format. It's literally the only reason why I still worry about Pokemon right now. But Toge, I mean, I don't think these people know who you are, my friend. So, do you have any prior league experience? Any? At all? Any?
Yeah. So most of my experience comes from the NPL, the National Pokeball League. I've been there for about 4 seasons. I have actually, fun fact about me in league format, I've never missed playoffs in a league. So fingers crossed I can keep that streak going. But the NPL, if you don't know it, it's probably one of the more competitive leagues out there. You got people like Gypsy King, myself, Trev, Jolt. Upcoming season, Verd's going to be there, so Mighty Brawlick. So there's a lot of firepower there, and so I've never won a championship in a league, but in every single league that I have played in, I have made playoffs and lost to the eventual champion, except for this season of the NPL, but I still got 3rd place. So pretty consistent top finisher, and just try to innovate as much as I can. I like using berries. I think Season 5 of the NPL, I managed to use about 40 berries in a 11-week season. So, yeah, that's how a lot of people know me.
Oh my God, berries and cream, huh?
Yeah.
Good Lord, Toge the Berry Man. That's gonna be your new name in the chat. We have TTM Peanut Butter and Toge the Berry Man.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Oh man, I liked it a lot. I like it a whole lot. But alright, let me see. I gotta see, people. The thing about these questions is I don't have them in order at all, so I get confused when I look away from them. So we're not gonna worry about that, okay? We are One Take Jake.
That's alright.
Even though my name is John.
That's all about.
But yeah. So what do you feel is a strength for you when it comes to battling in league format?
I definitely think preparation, especially in leagues that I choose to put a lot of time in. Like right now I'm doing a couple leagues at the same time that I'm uploading, so I think, obviously it's not going to be to the same caliber that it is in the NPL, but in the NPL, oftentimes I will spend upwards of 5 or 6 hours working on a team, because the matchups are so contentious there, and because the play is so even and competitive. A lot of how games are decided comes into the minute details in prep that are missed if you don't put a lot of time and effort into it. And I also see myself as someone who's pretty efficiently able to break down team matchups and find weaknesses in teams. And I think for a long time, playing was definitely my weakness, especially in just lining up the end game and setting up a clear vision for how I thought the game was going to go, like 5+ turns in advance, because I think that's how you win games for sure. But that's definitely something that's improved upon. Not to say I don't choke or make mistakes, because everyone does. And I definitely say the prep is still my stronger end, usually, at least if I care about a game. But yeah, so I think my strength in general is just being creative and finding ways to overcome bad matchups. I think that's another one of my strengths.
Everyone choking is fun. I seem to choke at least once every league I play in, and it's always amazing. But I think I've only missed playoffs in leagues that I played in, just to go back to when you said that. I think twice, in both of those times, other than me quitting or the league dying. If I quit, it was because my life got busy. Other than that, it was just like the league died week 6.
Too much or something.
Yeah. But
totally.
I think I've only missed, like, I've technically missed playoffs in the PGL just because I stopped caring. But I love the PGL, so don't hate me, Vinny. And I think PMC, because I quit. I didn't quit because it's my league, good lord. But life got in the way, and it was just stress and cheese and mayonnaise and ketchup.
Totally.
Yeah, you know all about those condiments.
I say the other going back to the question, I think the other my general weakness is my luck. And maybe that'll start to turn around, we'll see. But I think this game in the NPL, I lost about 4 or 5 games where I don't think I misplayed at all, and I think my prep was solid.
Oh, you want to see some going on. You want to see some luck? Watch my APA battle week 2 that comes out this week. Boy, was that one beautiful.
All right.
Well, since you touched on weakness, I've heard a lot about the fact that you're just very unlucky, and Trev is like the polar opposite of you because he's the luckiest man on the planet.
He's come down to earth recently, thank God.
But
no one can stop someone who's lucky and good.
So, how do you go about drafting? Do you make a plan? Do you go with the flow? What goes through your head when it comes to drafting for a league?
Yeah, so actually, speaking of other strengths, I think in general I'm a pretty strong drafter. But depends on the league. For the PMC league, we kind of just started drafting pretty fast, so I didn't really get to put a lot of plans into place. But I did kind of sketch out what I wanted. I knew that I really wanted to draft Dragonite as a Z-move mon going into this draft. So usually there'll be a couple Pokemon that I know I want, whether they're earlier or later round, and I just kind of come up with things to fit around them. And it also depends, draft plan wise, upon the system of the draft. So if we're doing a free draft, I don't plan as much because I know pretty much any round there's going to be good things available and good things that I can make fit my team. Whereas in a points draft, because you're working within a budget constraints or even a tier draft like this one, I usually do plan a little bit more and just kind of sketch out the type of thing I want, whether it's a certain role or a certain typing, and then also just look within each tier to find what tier I'm going to get my grass from, and then what round I think I can get it at, and kind of line those things up. But I don't really ever make hard set plans, because I think if you make a super set plan and then you get sniped, it's a lot easier for your synergy to be thrown off and for you to make a bad pick for synergy's sake rather than taking just what's good.
And it's going to be a lot easier for you to quit that league. A lot of people I've seen people get sniped, and because of that, I don't like my team, and then week 3 they're gone.
Well, I think it's always fun to use things that you're uncomfortable with, and also that's what transactions are for. So I think those people are just silly.
Yeah, silly indeed. I don't know. I never hop into a league with intentions to quit, man. I don't care if I'm going 0-10, which I've never done. I think my worst league record was like 5-5, and that was
that's not even half bad.
because I think that was PMC season 1 where I was trying out live calming, and it was so weird, and I was rushing, and then all of a sudden season 2 I improved, and now season 3 I'm better at live calm, but now I don't play anymore. So yeah, but other leagues are here, people. Other leagues are here.
That's right.
So what do you think is the most overrated Pokemon in this format?
In the format as a whole, that's a tough one. I kind of would go something, and I wouldn't say this is my for sure answer, but something that I definitely think is very overrated overall is Manaphy. I think Manaphy is very good in League format still, but I just don't think it's a round 1 worthy pick at all. And I think that's because you lose a lot of the bulk that you need if you go. So say you go for a speedy like Tail Glow set, which is what a lot of people's first instincts are with that Pokemon, and like throw on a Resist Berry for their fast electric type. Like that is one of the most common standard dot League Manaphy sets you'll ever see. But a lot of times you do that, and then it won't be bulky enough to take a hit from a different fast sweeper. But if you go the bulky side, then it can get outsped and O-code by something. And overall, I mean, I don't think Manaphy is that versatile in what it can do. Like, it's going to be a setup special attacker, or it's going to like be physically defensive for their fire type. And aside from those two things, like, it's not super diverse in the different roles that it can fill. And its speed stat is really what holds it back. Like, 100's not bad for that, but for that type of Pokemon with that fast setup, you want something that either hits harder and just will get O-codes at +3 always, like Circuitry, for example, or you want something faster that can actually sweep teams, and I think Manaphy really struggles with that, which is why I think it's overrated for where it goes.
See, one thing I've found out through playing in all the leagues I've played is no matter who drafts the super scary mon, whether it be Manaphy or Victini or Kyurem Black, and you have it and you're trying to prep with it, it's way harder to successfully destroy somebody with it because everybody's prepping for it. And I don't know, it's crazy. I don't know if you're trying to get where I'm coming from here.
No, totally, I agree.
But it's just like the mons that people say are the best, being like Manaphy, Jirachi, Kyurem. People prep for them amazingly all season, and then they pretty much make them null and void, or they'll maybe get like 6-7 kills the entire season, and then probably have the same amount of deaths, stuff like that.
Totally, and that's why I think I think that kind of just goes in the way that people look at League format, though, because if what Manaphy is then doing, or Jirachi or Victini or whatever, that big threatening Pokemon that takes a lot of attention and prep, like whatever it's doing, then as long as what it forces people to do to prep for it opens up holes for your other offensive threats, then it's fine and it's doing its job. But when people start failing with those powerful mons is when they week to week focus their entire team structure around those Pokemon, even when the matchups aren't great and the opponents have easy answers that they can bring for them. That's when I think those kind of Pokemon actually start to really hurt inexperienced players.
I love that you said it a lot, and the whole thing. See, I kind of use, like, every time I get either Victini or Kyurem Black, they're more so like decoys for me. Like, people are like, oh my god, he has Victini, this is gonna run through me, and then Victini probably doesn't even touch the field because you're so worried about it, and you end up getting swept by something that isn't even an offensive threat. So it's like, I 100% agree with what you mean there.
What I think is interesting is, like, I think so much of the conventional wisdom as far as League format goes is based on what people saw succeed in, like, their first couple seasons of watching League format. And so for a lot of people, especially people who started playing earlier on the format like me, you saw these Pokemon go crazy in the GBA, but that was before anyone knew how to prep properly. And so you have this, like, this mindset that these Pokemon are really good because you saw them be so good in this one team, or this one person used them really well, but really it was just the opponents not knowing how to properly handle them. And I think that kind of contributes to the mindset that you have these star players on your team, rather than looking at each Pokemon as a piece to a puzzle. And sure, some pieces are going to be more important or bigger than others, but that's all that they really are, and you can't really expect one Pokemon to outshine everything consistently.
Very well said, my friend. We're getting some expert analysis going on, man. Alright, so what mon do you feel is underappreciated in this format? And hold on, before you answer, okay, I just made a transaction for a mon that is now, in my opinion, possibly the most underappreciated mon of all time.
Oh, okay. Well, what's that? Let me hear yours.
Licky Licky.
I agree with you. I don't know if it's my number one, but I
have like a top 5. I would say Miltank, Gourgeist, Licky Licky, regular Blastoise, and then Meloetta.
Totally. Oh, Meloetta's got to be a huge one. I'm down to talk about Meloetta because that is up there, and I think I know why it's not drafted more. And that's because there are so many good, like, bulky-ish special attacking psychic types in the format. You know, you got Jirachi, Victini, Mew, whatever, the Lotties, right? And all of those, or even Azelf would kind of fill that role. So, like, all of those Pokemon, I think, are typically considered to be better and readily available earlier in the draft, so people pick those, and then they see Meloetta late in the draft and like, oh, that thing's still available, it's pretty good, but I can't, triple up on my Psychics or double up on Psychics, which is why it gets left in the dust. But I think if someone were to properly build a draft around a late Meloetta pick, that thing is a monster. Its bulk is amazing, its Calm Mind setup is amazing, its coverage is insane. The fact that you can also just flip it and go Pirouette with the boosted speed is so threatening because not enough people pay attention to that set. But if you on the other hand, if you prep too heavily for it, then you get fucked by a spec set. So I definitely think Meloetta might be my number one there.
Now, my reason behind Licky Licky is because most recently, my APA Week 2 that you all will see tomorrow. Well, tomorrow. Oh my, I broke the fourth wall. This is going to be probably out way after the freaking battle is out. But I had to prep for a Manaphy. And originally I was just bringing regular Wish Protect, Spadef, Licky Licky. And then my boy the Bee's Knees was like, nah, run Assault Vest. And then I ran Assault Vest and a +3 Skull did like 25%.
What the hell?
I said, holy tits. Right now. So then I got into the situation where Manaphy was in on my Licky Licky, and he thought he was free to go Tail Glow, and then he Tail Glowed up, and then Licky Licky laughed at the skull damage, and then Dragon Tailed him out. It was so satisfying. But again, I that match was interesting, people. You're gonna have to watch it. I cry every time. But let's see, where are we now? Any expectations for yourself going into this season? I know you say you're a playoff team, but I want to hear some heat. Toge, drop the heat.
I'm not gonna expect anything besides playoffs. I mean, the way I feel, like any league that I'm in, if I don't make playoffs, I could have done better, and it's I did something wrong the way that I view what I can do in the format. But there's definitely some good players. You got Trev, I've heard Zamcro's good, haven't actually played him before, but also, Aki, despite his ego and all the shit people talk about him, he's still definitely a threat, so it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I think playoffs is the minimum expectation, but, I always go into every league trying to win the championship, so that's obviously the goal.
I like it. That's me in a nutshell. It's like I ultimately want to win every single league I'm in, but I'm not disappointed with myself unless I don't make playoffs.
Yep.
And so, do you have any inspirations when it comes to battling? Now, that doesn't necessarily have to mean like style of battling, but as far as your approach to battling, is there anyone that you look at and say they inspired you in any specific way?
I'm trying to think back. who like kind of taught me. I think one person I think is Jolt. He's a really good friend of mine, and now I think we kind of see each other as pretty equal in the format. But especially when I was starting, and we both started that actually at the exact same time. But he's someone who definitely had a handle on the format before I did, and so just watching how methodically he broke down teams and figured out what had good matchups and how to lure in certain Pokemon to get the kind of situation you wanted in the game. And I think what he taught me was that in prep, and actually, funny enough, I heard Aster talking about this on the GBA Power Rankings, but this is definitely, I think, one of my biggest takeaways from him was that in prep, you can't just be saying, this has a good matchup, this beats this here. You have to start game planning out certain game situations that you think are likely to happen, and based off that, theory moning what sets are going to succeed when those likely situations happen. And that's how you build the most successful teams, in my opinion. And that's something all the best players do. Jolt, Gypsy is another one. Bob, Call Me 911, back when he uploaded. Those are definitely the people who I think I look to in terms of team building and approach to the format.
I obviously theory mon a lot when I'm prepping, but I never thought about it that deep. So maybe I'll have to look into it a little bit more. On the
other hand, like, you can't do it too much. Like, you can't say, like, this set's only going to work in this situation. And not, like, saying, like, you don't, like, plan every turn sequentially. But you just, like, theory on certain sections of the game of, like, how you think it'll play out, I guess. I don't know if that's a good way to put it.
I feel that, because there's situations where, because in my APA team, I have a Weavile. My week 1 opponent had a Mew. And the way I looked at the matchup, because Weavile beat like 7 of his 11 Mons, I was like, alright, he's either bringing Yachi Berry on this, but I felt like there was either, his Mew was either going to be Colbur Berry or Sphere, or Colbur Berry Will-O-Wisp, and all this good stuff. It ended up not being a berry at all.
So did you lead off with Weavile and Banded Punishment? No code?
No, actually, I ran sub SD Weavile, and I got it in once I got rid of his Alolan Mug, and Weavile got behind a sub on his on his Gliscor switch, and then he brought in Chansey, and I was behind the sub, and I pressed SD, and then I said Tee-hee, and GG.
Yes, that's gone.
It was beautiful. I felt like a lord. I was like, oh my god, this Weavile. But we only have 2 questions left. We're almost done. See, people, right. This is how you know me and Toge know each other, okay? Because some people are afraid to talk to me, alright? Toge isn't afraid. He's not afraid of the specs. But what coach do you want to play?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No. Well, I'll let you talk again. What coach do you want to play the most?
Yeah. I was just saying how I'm never afraid to talk too much ever. But the most.
Don't say Trev either.
Oh my god! Like what? How can I not?
You play Trev all the time. No, that's cheating.
Okay. Well, then I guess it's gonna be Aki.
There we go. That's all I wanted to hear. Has to be Aki VGC.
Yeah. Because I got a nice sized ego. He's got a bigger one, and so it'll be a good time.
Yeah, this season definitely has a lot of not interesting, but a lot of good competitors. I'm hype. It's gonna be beautiful, very beautiful. Now, Toge, thanks for your time. You came out here and spent a pretty good interview with me here, man. I had some fun.
Good.
Talked about some condiments, some ketchup, some mayo, some mustard.
Mayo's fucking gross. Just gotta say it. Barbecue sauce is forever and always. Barbecue sauce is forever and always the best condiment.
I don't know, man. I'm a honey mustard guy. I like honey mustard, especially Wendy's honey mustard.
Oh, okay. I haven't had Wendy's. I'm a vegan, so Wendy's is a little out of my sphere.
Wendy's has the best honey mustard of all time.
Maybe I'll have to go in. I'll get some French fries and honey mustard.
Just get the honey mustard. You will not. Oh, when I try honey mustard everywhere, just to compare.
It's never as good.
It's never as good as Wendy's. Wendy's has that perfect tang to sweet ratio. All right, I'm gonna have to go to Wendy's before work today. Good lord.
Alrighty.
Toge, one final question before we let you go here. will be the Orange League Season 1 champion?
Me.
You heard it here first, people. The one and only Togeydoodledoo, the berry picker. I mean the berry mat. What did I say I was gonna call you? I'm gonna have to look back in the video because I'm changing your name to that in the chat.
The berry boy.
Ah, there we go. Alright guys, we're going to get up out of here. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and check out everybody's channel of everybody that is involved with this. We put in a lot of time, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Nice professional, right? Goodbye.
Always professional.